What is up, everybody? Welcome to PCP Movie Night here on Pop Culture Philosophers. I am your host, the multi-award-winning Rockin' Robbie Bills with the award-winning hair. We are super excited to be here and to jump in to Holiday Horrorfest, which Dylan has already been holding down for the last month. He's been doing Thanksgiving-themed movies. He's been doing Black Friday-themed movies. He's been doing snow-themed movies. And now we officially kick off Christmas season with a look at this wonderful movie called Christmas Evil, which came highly recommended to me by my good friend Joe Corallo. So we got a great panel here tonight to talk about this kind of not really talked about movie that needs to be talked about a lot more. And that's what we're here to do, including Jelani. How you doing, my man?
What's up, Station, brother?
Merry Christmas, bro.
And Merry Christmas and War Eagle. And you do have lovely hair. I will give you that. Yeah.
Thank you. You've seen it in person, man. Yeah. I've always had good hair, man. Yeah. I've always had. Yeah. Speaking of good hair, don't care. We got Brooks, the Shroom Master, in the house. What is up, my man?
What's up? Yeah, congratulations on your award. Though personally, I've always found your hair to be rather mid, to be honest.
Well, thank you, Brooks. I appreciate that. We'll talk in a few years when you're rocking the skullet, okay? And we'll talk about good hair back then. You know what I'm saying?
I went too far.
You're gonna be looking like a Harry Shearer in the Spinal Tap reunion. That's what you.
Gosh.
No, we're super excited to be talking about this movie, and I love that, everybody's talking about the best hair, and that's great, but we won best review, best collaboration, best ongoing series, and more than anything, we won the big title. We won Channel of the Year. So, Jelani, Brooks, y'all are part of that. So, station to you, bruh. Relish in it. You are award-winning as well.
That's right.
Hell yeah. Speaking of award-winning, this dude won awards before any of us did.
Yeah, thanks.
But also now an award winner for the monthly comic book review, best collaboration, because he's appeared on there at least once this year. However, it's Joe Corallo, the reason why we're here tonight doing Christmas Evil. What's up, Joe?
It's true. But to clarify, Robbie, did you win every category you were nominated in?
No, I lost one to comic tropes. I won 5 out of 6, Joe. I mean, it's not too bad, right? Have you won every fucking Eisner you've been nominated for?
No, but I mean, come on, man. I mean, comic tropes is just like nothing against the guy, just really mainstream,
Yeah, and his hair must have been terrible for him.
He's the Silent Night, Deadly Night, whereas PCP is the Christmas Evil, right?
That's exactly.
Consistency.
Hell yeah. All right, so tonight we're talking about Christmas Evil. This movie was released in 1980, but didn't really get a full release, and I was listening to a little bit of the commentaries on this wonderful Blu-ray that Vinegar Syndrome could have sent me if they gave a shit about my channel. So everybody reach out to Vinegar Syndrome. Tell them to send me every movie. I'll review it. Everything they release, I'll do it. I love Vinegar Syndrome. They are way better than even Scream Factory or Arrow Video. They really do preserve exploitation and sleaze films, right? And one of my favorite things on here is that the director, what's his name? Lewis Jackson. Lewis Jackson has 3 commentaries on here. One with John Waters, because this is John Waters' favorite Christmas movie, y'all. Right here.
That's wild.
Of course it is.
It makes a lot of sense, right? So I've loved it. So I was listening to the commentary a little bit, and this was a movie that was in the works for a very, very long time from Lewis Jackson. So long that he spent 10 years knowing that he wanted to make this film, and he was like collecting Christmas Santa like decorations and stuff, and that's what Harry's apartment is dressed up in. Like that's just the director owned those. I hope he still does, because that's just pretty dope. This movie came out, it kind of got wrestled away from his control. He went over budget. To get more money, he gave up his like points in the film, right? And so the movie got released as Christmas Evil. He wanted it to be called You Better Watch Out. That's what's on the title of the Blu-ray or on the Tubi stream or something like that, right? I was talking to Brooks before the stream, and I was like, "Did you think you were watching the wrong movie at first?" He's like, "Yeah, I did, totally." But he's recently actually got control back of this film. That's why they've released this version with "You Better Watch Out" as the title. But obviously, Christmas Evil is what people remember it for. Great title, in my opinion. I was first introduced to this film from you, Joe. You mentioned Christmas Evil one day, and I think it was the next Christmas I watched it, like on Tubi or Pluto or something like that.
Yeah.
And just fell in love with it. And this was a time when we were doing a lot of these kind of serial killer character studies on Dylan's Horror Show. We were doing Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. We were doing what's the other one I was trying to think of? Anyway, Taxi Driver. We did Taxi Driver here, right? Right after that, we did American Psycho on Dylan's Horror Show. We did Martin recently this year. This is
Nice,
one of those kind of movies, right? It's a character study of a dude who's loving Santa maybe a little bit too much because he saw his mama loving Santa maybe a little bit too much when he was a kid. Fuck this dude all up, but he's just like stepped on his entire life is what it feels like, right? And this movie to me is pretty fucking brilliant. Now, it can easily get lumped in as, oh, it's a Santa slasher. This must have been made and based on Silent Night, Deadly Night. No. And we'll talk about that next week, Silent Night, Deadly Night. I love that film, and I'm not trying to disparage that film whatsoever.
Absolutely.
And it's doing its own thing. This movie is something completely different. It is not necessarily a slasher. It is more of a psychological drama, horror kind of exploration, a character study. I love this movie. I love the visuals in the movie. It's like Black Christmas with the cinematography. Everything is like fuzzy and glowy, and it feels like the Christmases I remember as a kid. Everything feels just a little bit dirty and at the same time very bright. And that's what I love about, we'll get to this, but the cinematography of this film adds this like shine to a grimy situation or a grimy place. And I am blown away by this film. When I decided that this year we were going to return to Christmas horror, it was first on my list, Joe, because I wanted to chat with you about it, but more so, I'm very excited to see what Jelani and Brooks have to think about this movie. First time watching, Jelani, what'd you think about Christmas Evil?
Man, Joe, you can pick these movies, man. These are wild. Satan's Little Helper. I'm still traumatized by that. It's still one of those movies where like that damn kid, that stupid kid, he just oh my god, he's the dumbest kid alive. He grows up to be probably this guy in Christmas Evil. Now he actually guy in Christmas Evil is a lot smarter. I liked the film. I was surprised. It was very. The pacing is not the best. I will say that. The music I absolutely adore. There's something about the music for this film that is appropriate for what's going on. I like the motivations of that guy, the main character. I like that he punishes the naughty and he gives to the good kids, and he's just very black and white. He's very obtuse in his thinking. So I like that whole thing. It's a little slow burn to get to the part where you need to get to. But all in all, I mean, I think it's a fine film. It's one of these films where I was surprised I've never heard of it. And the ending is kind of the weirdest part to me.
It's the best part, you mean?
Yeah, sure. He flies away in the van, and I'm like, did that happen, or are we having a Saint Maud situation where he's on fire? I mean, it's weird. It is so weird. So I mean, it's a mixed bag for me, but I generally overall I liked it. I really think like a lot of questions I still have for that movie. I probably need to watch it again.
Yeah.
Just to like put some things together and see why the hell he did it's certain motivations, certain stuff that he did. Like I never saw what he did with the 10 soldiers, other than he made that knife. But did he make the knife and then, or he made the tin soldier first, painted it as a nutcracker, and then stabbed that guy in the eye with it?
Yeah,
It's
pretty
just,
much.
yeah, okay. I just want to be sure.
And
'Cause I was like,
you tell me Francis Ford Coppola is not a fan of this movie, because that was the ending of Godfather 3, by the
pretty
way.
much. It's
Like,
like,
that one scene in this movie was Godfather 3's ending, like 100%. Heck yeah,
But-
man! I'm glad you were enjoying it, man.
it's not terrible. It wasn't terrible.
Yeah, I like
But
the Saint
still,
Maud
no.
comparison too, because it does have some of that
It
vibe,
is.
especially
It's
towards
mental
the end.
yeah, it's imagery and it's mental illness, but the end throws it off for me because he doesn't have he has mental issues, but you don't see them manifest throughout the movie. It's just this scene at the end happens and you're like, is this in his head and he's just gone completely wild and now
You tell me when this
brain.
dude super glues a fucking Santa beard to his face and starts fucking laughing about it, you don't think that's exhibiting some mental health issues right there?
No, I get that part. I'm just saying if he did that, I wanted him to like see an elf or something, and the elf is talking to him the whole time, or like he gets visions of sugar plums in his head.
Oh damn! If they remake this movie, that's what they're doing, dude. That's what they're doing. They're gonna have fucking what's his name? Gollum. What's his name?
Circus.
Andy Serkis is gonna
Andy
be
Andy Serkis could play
mocapping
great
the elf in this
yeah.
film.
He'd be the
Hell yeah.
elf and he'd be the regular character because I think he'd play a good character for this. Because you were telling me backstage that this guy was the mailman from Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
It's creepier now, isn't it? Man, it's like it's more creepy, right?
What
Like,
the crap, man?
this movie's pretty fucked, man. And it goes to show you how genuinely creepy the idea of Santa Claus is. 100%. Speaking of Brooks, we don't want to spoil this, but Santa Claus is not real.
No, I don't believe you're lying, dude.
Yeah, it's still real to you, right? It's like
Don't lie to
wrestling.
me, dude.
Not to break kayfabe. Anyway, Brooks, first time watching. What'd you think about Christmas Evil?
I like this movie. I mean, it was not what I expected exactly. I mean, it kind of is, but it isn't at the same time. You know, it was a little darker than I figured it was going to be. You know, I figured it was going to be but it's different. You know, it's a slow build suspense story about a dude, you know, losing it. And I kind of like how they don't really explain much aside from like, you know, the I guess the triggering event, like why he's got this obsession. Like I kind of like, because like I like the way the actor in this movie, the main guy, the way he uses his like expressions in certain ways in this movie, like when especially after he's dressed as Santa, like, you know, like he'll do something and then you'll see him like just give this wide-eyed look like he doesn't know what's going on before he goes on to the next thing. I thought that was interesting because it's like, you know, it makes you think like what is going on through his head, like, you know, is there some kind of force guiding him, you know, or is he just, you know, is he just going off of his own, like, you know, momentum? So overall, I think this is a pretty good movie. It was interesting, to say the least.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you were digging it. One of my interpretations of the film is that he's not happy being Harry, right? That's a life he doesn't like. But Santa's become this like fantasy that he wants to become. And the more that he feels he's becoming Santa, the more he feels empowered to deal with the shit in his life. So that when those dudes from Godfather 3 show up and they're like ragging him right after their midnight mass, because that's what you do after church, is go make fun of the weird Santa in the weird fucking van outside.
That's what happens.
That's when he snaps. That's when he does the, you know, and all that shit, you know. And
I love the way he runs in certain scenes when he's running somewhere, and it's like this weird kind of creepy sped up run he does.
Yeah. And let's not forget, there must have been something brewing in this dude for a while, because as soon as his brother hears this news report about a guy dressed up as Santa killing people, he's like, that's my brother. God damn it. I know exactly that's him. Joe, this is a movie that you introduced me to, man. Obviously, you're a big fan. Super excited you're here to talk about it. What do you think about this film?
Well, of course I enjoy it. I was introduced to this film, you know, years ago now. I was at a screening of a little-known film called I'm Dreaming of a White Doomsday, It came out in like 2017, and the director was there. And the director had mentioned that Christmas Evil was like his favorite like Christmas horror movie, and this was a Christmas horror movie that we were watching. So I was like, oh damn, like I hadn't heard of it. I'm like, I gotta watch this because it's because like all of us, it's like everyone knows Silent Night, Deadly Night, and how there's a ton of those, and then the third one's weird, and then Mickey Rooney's in one eventually. It's the whole weird thing. Anyway, but yeah, so then I watched this, and it's just like people have described this movie as like the Christmas version of like Taxi Driver.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
funny thing,
yeah,
Yeah.
and like absolutely, it's crazy. I love that, and like you were alluding to before, Robbie, and Brooks, like everyone kind of touched more or less on this idea of there's all these things that they don't go into, that they just give little hints about. Like, we don't know how long he's been keeping this book, and like, or the naughty book and the nice book, and like monitoring the people in the neighborhood, like especially like the kids in the neighborhood. And the movie does such a great job. Basically, like, I feel like I'm trying to think the best way to describe it. It's like Price is Right rules. It's like as creepy as possible with these kids in the neighborhood without going over. And
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like it does that like perfect. It's like just enough where it's like creepy, but it doesn't like go over that line to the point where you're like, I can't do that. Like it's and yeah, just the examination of this guy's life and the slow burn element to it works in that, like, it does a pretty good job. And again, if they had more of a budget, more time, if you had more control and stuff, I think, it might have been, tighter, and they would have maybe done things like had it, because you could tell the movie's trying to do this thing where it's like, you're going a little back and forth. Because it does a pretty good job, and I think again, like it could have been like done a little tighter, where it's like you're like, oh, this Harry guy like sucks. This is creepy and awful. And then like a couple scenes later, you're like, these people are treating him like terribly, and like you kind of go back and forth between like, oh, he's this really awful dude, and like, that guy sucks too. Like I kind of want him like something bad to happen to that guy.
And like the neighborhood kids like him. Like
yeah,
yeah,
a lot.
His nephew and niece really like him too. It's like maybe this is just a guy who's like just really popular with kids, but like everybody else just like treats him like garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, which there's this added level of creepiness to this guy we all can see isn't right, but kids are like all in on this guy. And like, and we'll get into it later. There's especially the one scene with the girl who picks up the knife and all that, but where you're just like, oh my God, like this is like, what is it with these kids that they like about them and all this? But yeah, it's wonderfully dark. And yeah, it adds to it because like, again, it's weird that like you kind of have to compare it somewhat to Silent Night, Deadly Night, which comes out like 4 years later, even though there's very little similar other than guy dressed as Santa kills people at some point. And childhood trauma leads to guy not being right in the head. But beyond that, there's very little similarities to them. But yeah, it was what a wonderful excuse to watch this movie for the Christmas season yet again.
It's going to be an every year thing now. I'm going to find the person in my life who hasn't seen it and be like, this is what we're doing tonight. We're watching Christmas Evil. I've been doing that with Black Christmas and Silent Night, Deadly Night for years, and Gremlins since I was like 5 years old. This is definitely one of my favorite Christmas horror films, but also one of my favorite Christmas films. Most of my favorite Christmas films are horror films. So it's no surprise that we're doing Holiday Horrorfest. This movie's got a great cast. We all know who is the best performance in this movie. So I'm just going to lob that softball up in the air to you, Jelani. You can do whatever you want. What is a cast performance you want to highlight in this film?
I'm leaving it alone. I'm gonna go with Glenn from Walking Dead, the brother. I don't remember his name. He's Frank Darabont's favorite guy. He puts him in all this stuff. He was very.
His name is Jeffrey DeMunn.
Jeffrey DeMunn. That's right. Jeffrey DeMunn is fantastic in this movie. I think he's the stable dad who's trying to keep his family together during Christmas time, and he wants his brother to be a part of his life. Now, I'm estranged from my sister, and it's a weird time for holidays and things like that. So it's hard to get people together that you've been so close to for many years. So I understand it. And I like how he's angry, but he yells at his kid, "Turn the damn TV down," and he still like comes back and he's like apologizing for it. I don't know what it is. He feels like he's that dad. Like he really wants his family to be together. He really wants his brother to be like a normal person. He's like, and then, his wife is like, "Well, you rag on him too much. You're a little too hard on him." And he's
he tries so hard because his wife is DTF every single night, apparently.
She is. Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. Yeah. She ready to go. And he's like, "I'm doing push-ups, baby, just for you. Just for you."
He's just doing push-ups.
Doing push-ups. And she's like, I'm getting ready. He's like,
who was in shape back in those days, man? A lot happened.
Yeah, we're gonna make 3 kids.
A lot happened from 1980 to 1994, man. I'm just gonna say that. I don't know what happened in this dude's life, but a lot happened.
But I like that. And I also want to mention, I don't know. Well, we'll talk about that later. But how when he finds out and he knows that that's his brother is the killer, and he strangles him, and he's like trying to do his best to he's so mad. He's just infuriated. The look in his eye.
Dude, Jelani, what a response, man. You think you just choked your brother to death, so let's just go put him back in his van.
Let's get him out of the house. Put him in the van.
Meanwhile, the Frankenstein movie Monster Mob is out there. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Evil dies tonight and all that shit.
Evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight. Christmas Evil dies tonight. It's wild. And I don't know. I just like this character. I was just glad I saw him in the movie because that was really a freak out. Because I was like, oh yeah, it's 1980. I guess he would be like super young.
Yeah, dude. It's one of those things where the whole fucking movie, I'm like, who is this guy?
It's not like Glenn.
I know.
He's in so much stuff.
Yeah. He's in tons of stuff and
of movies,
everything
man.
Frank Darabont does, he's in. So he's great in The Mist. Like he's just good in those movies. What about you, Brooks? What's a performance you want to highlight?
A character that popped to me, and he's just kind of one of those blink and you miss him. But it's the officer guy, the old guy at the building. I guess I don't know if he's supposed to be like the building security or what.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for the hospital?
Yeah. But he's just like the most sour looking dude like ever. And he's like, and he like I love this scene because like he puts his hand on his gun. You're like, oh shit, he's gonna there's gonna be some shit. But then like he bullshits them. Like, oh, I'm just Santa Claus. I'm just here to give some gifts to kids. And he's like, oh hey.
Right.
I would like to have seen more of that guy. Like I want his story to be told. Spin-off.
I like the idea too. He's like the only one who knows what's up because the dude's like, hey, I'm here to give toys to these kids. And he's like, at this time of night, are you fucking wacko? Like, what the fuck, dude? But he lets them in anyway, whatever the fuck, So this is
the power of Santa.
It is the power of Santa because he bribes them. He's like, here's a gift for you. And he's like, cool.
Yeah, that's right. He's just like, here you go. Oh, hey, yeah.
Oh, I'm cool now. Yeah, you're cool.
It's a toy soldier, by the way, with somebody's eyeball on the fucking gauntlet or the weapon there, right? What about you, Joe? What's a performance?
So violent.
No shit. What about you, Joe? What's a performance you want to highlight?
I'm gonna go with Frank, that just shitty employee that
guy that eats his sandwich and shit.
Right? Yeah, guy's just like, I'm just gonna take a bite of your sandwich. And because it's just insane, and I love it because he's just this over the top version of that like bully in these kind of movies, and he shouldn't be. And Harry should be like, he's an example of how Harry doesn't understand how to function in society, because what he should do in a situation like that is be like, I'm not covering your shift. Like, the fact that you took my sandwich and took a bite out of it, like, I know you're union, but I'm going to like, in a normal situation, he would contact the union rep and they would then have a meeting, and the union rep would almost certainly be like, hey, Frank, like, we got your back, but you can't just take your supervisor's like sandwich and take a bite out of that. Like, there's not much, like, they can't defend that sort of thing. But Harry doesn't understand how to function outside of this childlike, you're naughty or you're nice kind of way about it. And he actively goes out of his way to be very generous or very cruel to people, and just doesn't get, even working and all of that, that's what you're supposed to do. And Frank really, I think, highlights that in the scenes he's in.
He's also just really good at being a douchebag, right? Like, he's at the bar talking shit. Yo, and I got that guy to cover my shit. I mean, when you get your boss to cover your shift, bruh, they're just walking all over him.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to be nice, and I actually love you guys here to try to spotlight those that are not so obvious. So let's talk about Brandon Maggart as Harry in this film. I think Christian Bale's performance in American Psycho is his best performance ever. I think Michael Rooker's performance as Henry in Henry of a Portrait of a Serial Killer is his best performance ever. I think John Amplas's best performance ever is Martin, right? In the George A. Romero Martin film. I would even dare to say that I think one of De Niro's best performances is Taxi Driver.
Mm-hmm.
And I might even say one of the top 3 of Joaquin Phoenix's performances is the Joker, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is something about being able to sink your teeth into a role like this. And everybody that I just named owes so much, except for Bobby De Niro, because he did it first.
Yeah.
Owes so much to this movie, whether they've seen it or not. This dude killed this role. He slayed it, no pun intended. Like, it was absolutely brilliant. His performance. That scene when he's like looking at the mirror and he's like doing his little Santa thing, and then he goes, and his face is deadly serious. That's his face, that's his game face he's putting on to go to the Christmas work party. We've all been there. We know what that's like. You know what I'm saying? You're like, ugh, man, I gotta go drink with these people I don't like. This dude's performance is subtle, it is nuanced, and it is powerful and impactful. It like blows me away how good that dude is in this movie. And why do we not recognize this as one of the best psychological thrillers of the 80s? You know what I'm saying? Everybody's always like, psychological. Oh, Silence of the Lambs. Well, that's not even the best psychological thriller of the 90s. That's Exorcist 3. However, in the 80s, it might be Christmas Evil. I think this is actually better than Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, which is a hard movie for a lot of people to watch, but a movie that I absolutely love. Like, I think it's a very powerful and important film. What about you, Jelani? Well, fuck. That was me wrapping that up. We're talking about style and structure now.
Mm-hmm.
Before I throw it to Jelani, I've already alluded to the idea of the cinematography of this film. So the cinematographer is a French dude named Ricardo Aranovich or something like that. I think he's French. He's European. The dude who made this movie, Louis Jackson, very much intentionally picked his favorite cinematographer in movie history. He was like, I want this movie to have a look. And I think if I get, and this is a great, great thing. Sometimes we hear about this. First-time directors paired with a really solid cinematographer. That's a really good thing to do there. because the things that the director doesn't know, the DP does know, right? And it threw the budget really out of whack. And that was the reason why Lewis Jackson had to sell points in the movie. He had to give those up to get a bigger budget, because this dude's like, I'll do it, but we need this, we need this, we need this. It's worth it. This movie looks gorgeous. And it's not even the best transfer. It's the best transfer we've ever had of this film. But this movie looks gorgeous. It makes me think of Bob Clark's Black Christmas. It's got that fuzzy, homey, earthy kind of like feel and vibe to it. And it accentuates the creepiness. It's almost like Christmas time can come across as the time of false joy. You're right. Like, life sucks. We all got to pay rent. Now we got to really have a stressful December because we got to buy gifts for everybody to prove that we fucking love them. You know what I'm saying? We got to do all this, and we all act happy about it. And there are times, especially when times are rough, Christmas can be a very hard time to deal with for a lot of people. I'm one of those people. You know, I've lost very important people in my life that are very core to my memories of Christmas. Christmas is not necessarily my favorite time of the year, but at the same time it is. So it's almost like this false sheen that's placed on the grime of everyday life, right? I don't know, it's comparable to me of Taxi Driver. Like, I never heard Lewis Jackson specifically mention Taxi Driver as an influence, but it's got to be an influence on this film. It is astonishing to me. Structure, it does run a little long. The pacing is a little off at times. I think you really trim down the comedic bit of him getting stuck in the chimney. That irons a lot of that out, to be honest. That scene runs a little bit long for a quick joke, but I understand what y'all are saying. I don't mind the slow burn. We're halfway into the movie, though, when we hit Christmas Eve, and we're ready to go. And it just kind of gets slowed up a little bit in there. So maybe like a good 5-8 minutes trimmed out of this movie in certain places to speed certain bits up. More of the comedic bits, I think it really could work even more fantastically. What do you think about the style and structure, Jelani?
Yeah, it does have a lot of pacing issues. I think it's slow in places it doesn't need to be. A lot of things don't need to be touched on. I don't know how to explain where it is, but yeah, there should be minutes from the film that should be cut out. I don't know. It's an extra long time that he's there with the Naughty and Nice book. I think a lot more things could be shared. Although I think there are a lot of things in the movie that like needed to be explored a little more. And plus, I know it's a psychological thriller, but I wanted to see some more kills. I expected this to be a slasher. I don't know. I thought it was just going to be Silent Night, Deadly Night with a bunch of just straight up stabbing. But
don't worry. If you want more kills and more nudity, we got you covered next week, bro.
We're watching it. Yeah. I synced it. So it's one of these movies where I really like the fact that this guy is slowly losing it, and it's such a slow burn to his break. It is, like you said, Joe, you're right. It is Taxi Driver. I didn't think of it like that, and it feels it feels like uncomfortable. It gives you that uncomfortable feeling all the time, that feeling of uneasiness. It's paced to that, but like I said, I think some things go a little too long. The way they are, the Christmas party isn't the best. I couldn't tell who he killed, and that's the other part that was bothering me when he killed those people in front of the church or wherever it was. I didn't know who those people were. Like, I didn't give a crap who they were. I mean, were they just people that were the ones that were teasing him or something like that? And, like, the person that came at him, and they're like talking to him all British and shit, and there's. Oh, he has fancy outfits and things. I'm like, who the hell are these people? I can't remember these guys at all.
The way it kind of works is it's weird. It's a messed up psychological thriller kind of thing, but it's like them pushing him far enough when he's finally transformed and now he's finally killed gives him the courage to finally kill Frank.
Okay.
He's Santa at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
He
Santa.
is
And why are you
Santa.
fucking with Santa? That's what it is. Okay.
Exactly.
So why are you doing this to a guy that's supposed to be giving toys and joy and mirth to people? And they knew it wasn't him, right? They just knew it was this guy, and they were just joking on him. And he was like, here's a toy soldier in your eye.
As one does when you step out of church, you make fun of the first person you see.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like come at them immediately. And start.
Does nobody else think of Godfather 3 though? When you watch that scene, you're just like just straight up like.
Yep.
I love the idea that this is a crossover with Godfather 3, and it wasn't like any kind of hit on Michael or anything like that. It was just a random occurrence of a crazy ass Santa Claus fucking going nuts, man.
Was like he's just gonna go to that church and like I don't know, give the people their toys or something.
Oh, he was going to kill his boss. That's the vibe I was getting. I get the idea that he was already filled up with ire when he saw his boss there. Then these dudes come in and just immediately start giving him shit. Like they're the fucking frat boys in a Revenge of the Nerds movie, bro. Right. That's how they were acting, man. They were just coming straight at it.
Who talks to people like this immediately? Like, don't you know there's a Santa Claus? You just be nice to Santa.
You see a dude dressed as Santa Claus at Christmas Eve, like at 1 a.m. Do not interact with that dude.
Yeah, don't talk to the guy. You leave. But like it's so many little things, and like I love how the kids defended him. I like how that was done.
When that you talking about when that little girl pulled a knife out on her dad, bro?
She was gonna I thought she was gonna stab her dad.
My presence, I will fucking kill you.
Yeah. She was gonna stab her dad over that jump, man. It's so great, and like the fact that like it should have happened, like he should have been stabbed. And then she just been like, but now you're on the naughty list or some crap like that. Dude,
like when he's talking to those kids and he like, he just like it gets super cold and then he just laughs and it's like to break up the tension. What a great scene, dude. Yeah, like this random dude shows up at the American Legion and tells your kids, I'm gonna fuck you up if you're naughty.
You're naughty.
Great, dude.
And then he starts laughing. But like and another kid I was gonna highlight was the kid that had the Penthouse magazine. And he was like, I want a year subscription to Penthouse magazine. I just thought that shit was priceless. And he was just so mad. He was so mad, that little kid, that like he ends up scaring him and leaving dirt at his door or whatever he did.
Yeah, we had was that Introspect? Yeah, Introspect asked about the dirt. The dirt thing was to mark the bad kid, right? Yeah. That's my idea. Like he marked it as it also just goes, this dude's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
like this dude's
put his
like
mouth in it,
completely fucking losing it, man.
I'm
like what is up,
man? And I thought he was gonna kill that kid.
Scene, man.
Yeah, I really thought he was gonna kill that kid. And that was like Patricia Heaton. I think it was Patricia Heaton from Home Improvement.
Yeah,
or something like that. Yeah, that was wild. I was like, she's smacking him. She's like,
Jill from Home Improvement, man.
Jill from Home Improvement.
Bro, Home Improvement was on in my adolescence, and I had a lot of impure thoughts about her, and it made no sense. I was yeah.
I've never thought she was hot.
Come on, nobody ever had sexual thoughts about the mom from Home Improvement?
Never, not once.
She just looked like all the ladies at church, I guess.
Yeah, even then, I'm not attracted to them.
Anyway, I do think this.
But
I would have liked a little bit more of an explanation. Damn, Jelaine. I would have liked more of a...
He teleported.
What the hell?
What's going on here, bro? I would have liked a little bit more of an explanation or an attempt to like try to make the connection as to why what happened to him when he was a kid made him obsessed with Santa. It almost felt like like Philip should have been the one obsessed with Santa, right?
Right.
He was the one like, that's not our dad, but he sees that Santa.
That's what I thought was the twist. I thought the brother, the younger brother was the crazy one. I thought the roles were switched. I thought he wasn't the one that saw Santa touch mom's leg, and he was just crazy. And like, I don't know, he told him or something. And plus, how do you explain the next day? Like, it's Christmas Day. I mean, you didn't say one thing to your dad or one thing to your mom. Be like, hey, Santa was touching your leg last night. What was going on with that? You know, or hey, Dad, did you know Santa was fucking mom? You know, it's simple questions that you ask throughout your life. You mean that fucked you up so bad that you had to like repress it and turn into a crazy Christmas freak. I really thought the brother was the older one, and then the younger one was Harry. I really thought it was switched. I thought that was going to be a twist.
You thought we were getting a sleepaway camp, right?
Yeah.
Like kind of like something like that. All right.
Yeah.
So like,
so it was kind of weird twist. I thought there was going to be a twist where it was like, oh, wait a minute, this is the younger brother. He didn't see any of that shit happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or something like that. And he's just crazy.
Earlier today, I'm walking out of the grocery store and I'm humming Christmas music and I see some people looking at me weird. And I start thinking, fuck, am I Harry from this movie? Because that's all he does. Brooks, what do you think about the style and structure of the film?
I like the style of this movie. Like, and, you know, it does take its time, but when it comes to a suspense movie like this, like a movie can take its time as long as it's building the suspense. I think this movie does that for the most part. Like, I think, you know, it doesn't feel like it's just spinning its wheels. It's like it's actually, you know, showing you, like, it's building up the suspense of, like, it's, you know, giving you the information you need to, like, you know, understand a little more what's happening and, you know, what direction it's kind of going in. And it's like, you know, it's shot really well too. Like, you know, it's got some really good performances in it. And you know, this movie was very surprising to me with just how much I ended up liking it.
Did you like it better than Universal Soldier?
Ooh. I wasn't on this. It's got no Jean-Claude.
That's true. If Jean-Claude was in this movie, it would really set it over the top.
Or if dude had done the splits as Santa Claus.
Exactly.
Just like
he had done that weird dance at the Legion. He just, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He does the kickboxer dance. Hell yeah.
Yes.
All right, Joe, what about you? What do you think about the style and structure of the film?
For the most part, I really like it. Like I was alluding to before, and you covered a bit more thoroughly. Like, I don't think I don't think you have to change that much. And I think you could probably clip or cut out like existing stuff already without really having to do too much to like make it a bit tighter. And I think, again, if they had a bigger budget and some other things going, I think they would have maybe kind of perfected it. But for what we get, like the slow burn works. You really need that build up to when the crazy stuff happens. I think, you know, like you were saying, like maybe cut down a few of the more comedic moments. Maybe get like another scene with, like, you know, the brother or something like that, and flesh that out a little bit. And I think you do little bits like that, and I think it's like almost perfect, you know. But
yeah.
But what we do get, I also love, you know, towards the end when like the mob is literally like after him, and you see the torches for a minute there, that it's very much. It's hilarious, yeah. And it's also an inverse Frankenstein's monster bit, because rather than a monstrous appearing thing that's good on the inside, it's this good thing on the outside that's monstrous within. And like I thought that was really clever of them to do that. And just all the other like elements that are very subtle. They're subtle in how unsubtle they are. Like, for example, like the creepy windowless van with like the sleigh illustrated on it. It's like, it's the imagery itself isn't subtle, but I think a lot of other writers and directors would have been way too tempted to have somebody like have some person come out and be like, boy, Harry, you're driving around a windowless van with a sleigh drawn on it. Boy, people are gonna think you're nuts. Like, you know, there's too. It's too tempting. Like a real dumb fuck would have done that. And I'm glad we didn't have a real dumb fuck, you know, directing this and writing this. You know,
fair enough.
Yeah, they don't have to point it out. We notice it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. The music in this movie, there's 3 different composers credited, so I think it's just kind of like an amalgam of what they could afford and throw together. But the music itself is actually pretty good. It's comparable to a lot of horror movie music from 1980, the late 70s, that kind of a thing. However, just like with Black Christmas, the use of the Christmas music in this movie is awesome because it really makes the lyrics of Santa Claus is coming to town very fucking unnerving, very unsettling. You know what I'm saying? And I do think that the title, You Better Watch Out, works better in that connotation. When Harry is humming Christmas songs to himself. I love those bits. I love the music that we're hearing in certain parts of the film because they're almost kind of like, I think in times they're very, very consciously choosing songs that are like almost like the inversion of what is actually going on in the scene, right? They're like, it's a juxtaposition that they're doing intentionally, like they do in Black Christmas, but I think this is even more intentional than that. And using the versions of those songs that they use, and even some of the more like contemporary music of the time, like it still kind of it traps you in a certain space, and the movie feels rather ethereal and dreamlike to me, which I think most Christmas movies, whether they're like a family movie or a horror film, they really that's a thing about Christmas movies I love, because it's a very ethereal kind of fantasy type time. So I like the music a lot. It doesn't necessarily stand out as a composition, but the use of the music, whether it was commercial or licensed or whatever they could find, I really did like it. What about you, Jelani? What do you think about the music?
I agree, man. I like the music in this movie. I really do. It's just something about it. I mean, the score that they have, like it is placed perfectly. There's a scene where the music is going and it cuts out. I forgot. Oh gosh, I hate that I forget what the scene is. But like Harry's in a room and like he either looks up or something happens and it goes like, and it's the sound, and I'm like, oh my god, that is just unsettling. It just doesn't. I mean, there are points in this movie that do that a lot, and it does mix well with the Christmas music, especially the American Legion part where the band is playing. I like the band playing and him dancing, and it's just a great fun time, and it goes well with that scene, of course. And he's a great dancer. He's a fantastic dancer. Like he's like a Fred Astaire out there, and he's like killing it. But he never had an opportunity to do this. But the music goes well with that. Yeah, all of the licensed music is placed perfectly well. It's very creepy how just regular Christmas music will bother me like that. Silent Night, Deadly Night doesn't do that as well. But it's not stop music like Universal Soldier. And so I really enjoyed it. I have to say, I gotta probably watch this movie again to remember that scene. But I don't know if I was watching it at a weird time or what happened, but I forgot what scene it's in. But that music, like when it hit, I was like, damn, y'all got this.
I am so glad I got this Blu-ray because this is a staple. And this is a movie that could easily disappear again, like it did. It was basically almost a missing film in a way, right? Like they were like, you could find it on Blu-ray, on VHS back in the day randomly, but like I don't remember ever seeing this on VHS at my shops.
And never saw it. Never heard
and like
of it.
Troma did a DVD of it, and now we got this Vinegar Syndrome, so it's starting to sell out. These are in limited quantities. Pick it up right now. It's like $25, but I'll be honest, y'all, it's worth it just for the commentary with Lewis Jackson and John Waters alone. This is John Waters' favorite Christmas movie. Tell me you don't want to watch this film. All right, Brooks, what about you? What do you think about the music in this film?
I like the music in this film. It is very much like that 80s synth type stuff that you'd hear a lot.
Yeah.
It's used very well in this movie, I think. I mean, to great effect. And I like the Christmas music too, like the way it's used in the movie, because that's like if you're setting the atmosphere for a Christmas, like the Christmas music is like a must, because like it's one of those things that every every year it's one of those inescapable things about Christmas that, you know, you're not going to get through a Christmas without hearing at least one Christmas song throughout the year. And, you know, for most people, like, especially if you're like working like retail jobs and like restaurant jobs and stuff, you'll probably be listening to Christmas music like all work day pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a good soundtrack. Not exceptional, but good.
Yeah. By the way, I've been listening to nothing but Christmas music since Thanksgiving night. Like as soon as I left dinner, family dinner, it's Christmas music, and I really hope it doesn't fuck up my Spotify algorithm in January and February. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
Christmas music all year round.
What about you, Joe? What do you think about the music in the film?
I really like it. You know, again, for most of the reasons people mentioned, but also like it's never the way it's all done is it ends up being like kind of creepy and like kind of lulls you in. It's never too loud. It's never overwhelming. There's not any real scenes in the movie where you almost like forget what's happening in the scene because the music's just overpowering it. And I think that all works. Again, very creepy, lures you in, kind of, you know, sucks you into the atmosphere. And I think lends itself to the slow burn elements of the movie and keeps your attention and keeps you focused during like the first half when, you know, sometimes, you know, the scenes might be meandering a little bit or something like that. The music is kind of what focuses you in and keeps it creepy, keeps you kind of being like, oh, something might happen, like so I think it works very well throughout. And, you know, again, for a low budget movie like this, that's the kind of thing where it's like, fuck, okay, let's use that music, get people keep it in while we're doing this kind of thing.
It makes me think of this one scene in particular when he comes up into the neighborhood. I think that his brother lives in. I think his brother lives in the old family house, right? And he comes up to the neighborhood, and there's all those, like, I don't know what they're actually called, but you know, those plastic light up things that people would put out in their yard and shit. And there's a whole bunch of the Santa sleighs and reindeer like up and down that street. And the way it's glowing in the way it's photographed, oh my goodness, the music swelling up there. Oh, such a fantastic scene, man.
I was gonna mention that. I really like that scene. Yeah,
that's really good. All right, we could start rating the film. We could end the review right there. We've covered it. However, we are the pop culture philosophers, so we like to dive in and dig a little bit deeper into the meaning of these films, what they represent to humanity and to us. You dig? All right, Jelani, to you, what is this movie about? What's it speaking to you?
Santa Claus isn't real, kids. Sorry. It's your mom and dad. It's your mom and dad. They've been buying your gifts all this time and then hide them under trees. My parents would take me to the toy store, make me pick out my toys, take them home with me, and then put them under a sheet in the card table in the living room. So I would see them all the time when I came home from school. And then Christmas Eve, I could go under the sheet and they were gone and they were under the tree. And I'm like, oh, wow. Thanks, Santa. That's how it works. And this guy apparently took that one step too far. And on top of that, saw his mom get groped by a Santa. So basically, instead of like using critical thinking as a child, he assumed that this was his problem for the rest of his life. And he needed to realize immediately and have a talk with somehow his parents, which he didn't mention it to for his entire life, that he saw Santa kissing Santa, mommy kissing Santa Claus.
Yeah, it adds a whole new meaning to that song. You know, I saw Mama receiving cunnilingus from Santa Claus.
He was getting in there too. He was like getting in there, and I'm like, damn. I'm glad. I hope that kid wasn't actually in the room while they were doing that, because that would have honestly traumatized him.
Santa Claus's favorite non-Christmas song is "Love in an Elevator" by Aerosmith.
But yeah. But yeah, That's what I got from this movie. Santa ain't real.
Santa ain't real.
Santa ain't real, kids. Sorry. Hate to
And
break your
maybe
fucking
the
bubble.
ideal you're striving for is not quite real either. You know what I
Right.
mean? Maybe that can
And
unhinge.
what it is Harry took it upon himself to become the ultimate since Santa wasn't a good person, he was gonna be that good person and give the gifts to the kids and punish the naughty kids and punish whoever is evil. And he took it to, like I said, he took it to an extreme, and that extreme was just too. It was too fucking much, man. Calm down. Santa ain't real. It's gonna be fine, dog.
Santa ain't real. What about you, Brooks? What's this movie speaking to you? What's it about?
I think this one is kind of like the danger inherent in the whole this dual morality that we have of good and evil, naughty and nice, because it's never that simple, Life isn't just two categories, there's all kinds of different circumstances behind people's lives make them act the way they do, and sometimes people are just really bad, but there's always like reason behind it, and when you like this kid, the fact that his mom is getting eaten out by Santa Claus in the middle of the room, he should have been able to he's been to talk to his parents, and they could have told him just the gig stuff, Santa's not real, it was daddy, we were horny, it's no big deal, But
she likes the man in uniform, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's just Mom, I mean, they should have probably done it in their bedroom, but
dude, if you're gonna fuck a Santa Claus, you do it at the Christmas tree. Come on.
Do it at the tree.
She's like, no, hon, now.
That's exactly where you go.
Now.
I hope he was wearing a stocking.
Oh,
not in 1980, bro.
But yeah, it's like this is the idea that this kind of stiff morality can lead to these kind of extremes where oh, he's naughty, so therefore he deserves to die, and it's like, bro, there's you don't just kill everybody because they're naughty. It's like you don't need to terrify this kid just because he wants a lifetime prescription to fucking Hustler or whatever.
Penthouse.
Penthouse.
Way classier.
Yeah, it's classier. Yeah. They've got better,
But dirtier than Playboy. I remember that. I remember being a kid.
It is dirtier than Playboy.
Whoa. Yeah. I remember the first time I ever saw a Hustler as a kid, I was just like, why is she peeing on that guy? All right. So I was very confused. Still kind of confused. It's just, we ain't kink shaming because unlike Santa Claus, we're sex positive here at PCP. All right. What about you, Joe? What's this movie speaking to you? What's it about?
Yeah, well, I think Brooks really nailed it, and I'd go, elaborate on that with it's really worth reflecting on that sort of thing, because we as a society often do this thing where it's like, oh, well, for children, we tell them, you do good and you get a reward, you do bad and we'll, murder you or whatever, and you'll burn in hell for all eternity or whatever.
Fuck up, you're dead.
And and it's one of those things where it's like, that's how we treat children. And then if an adult's doing it, it's like, you're a lunatic. Who would do that? That's insane. But where it's like, maybe take a step back and think, what's the difference between, treating like an 8, a 10, or a 12-year-old that way and instilling in them that that's how the world should work and this is what you should expect. But then as soon as you're an adult, it's like, you're a lunatic if you try to do that. There's things going on there, because you get that, you get the adult's visceral reaction to this, you get the kids who love him because the way he is acting is what they are told is supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So the movie's kind of playing with that, I think, a little bit and trying to show us maybe if you want, normal adults that act like adults, you should, at some, be a little more invested in how you want your kids to grow up and how you treat your kids and how that generation should view morality and how we should treat other people.
Fuck yeah. Well put, everybody here on the panel. I agree with everybody here. Y'all have hit the nails on the head of Santa's coffin. But I'll add another obvious one, I think, which is mental health, right? And the fact that, like, if your brother seems like he's struggling in life and he's not able to defend himself in normal situations in which he has the power to defend himself in his job with that Frank asshole, that douchebag, right? And by the way, try to smother a guy with a semi-filled bag of toys, that's not how you're going to do that. That's not the right way.
That was so good, though, because he realized, and I was like, it was
everything he does,
different way.
Unless it's like everything that Harry does as Santa, because that is something that really happens in this movie, and I'm about to get to that. But like, Harry is not Harry at a certain point in this movie. He believes he's Santa Claus, right? And one of the points of the ending of this film is maybe this is the origin story to Santa Claus. Santa Claus doesn't come give parents fucking toys. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't. He's kind of like got this prudish, like very like restrictive kind of, I don't know, ultra conservative, puritanical kind of view on sexuality, right? Like Harry's a virgin, probably. Like, yeah. I mean, let's be honest, right? But at the same time, Philip knew that his brother was struggling. These are people that need help. And help doesn't mean drugs. Help doesn't mean, necessarily going into an institution or something, but maybe like somebody to reach out and say, hey, man, what's going on in your life, right? Yeah. Maybe this whole situation could have been avoided if we would just notice when people are struggling in our lives and reach out. And maybe that wouldn't happen in the first place if we would all just continually reach out to the people we love. Now, I know that that's hard. We all have so many people in our lives that are important to us. But another thing about this movie is, I think, ultimately, to me, what it was speaking is the danger of self-actualization. Now, one of my absolute favorite things, one of the things that I strive for is to be better every day, to improve, to encourage people to improve, and to try to always be stronger, to be kinder, to be more compassionate, to be a better person day to day, to actually think about the person, the image of the entity that I want to be, and try to attain that. But you got to do it with a little bit of hubris. You got to do it with some humility. Jelani, what is going on with your stream? All right.
Yoga teleporting again.
Yeah. But sometimes what happens is once you realize that you can attain an ideal that you set up for yourself, his ideal, Harry's, was Santa Claus, somehow. Maybe he's a horny kid and he's like, damn, if you're Santa Claus, you're going to get laid. I don't know. What is the motivation? It's weird. It's kind of like vague about some of that, which I like because we get to implant our ideas into it. Same thing with the ending. But sometimes when you realize you actually do have the power to self-actualize and become who you want to be, sometimes that gives you this sense of arrogance or this sense of, I don't know, false power, if that makes sense. And I think that's what's happening in this film to Harry, is that he feels like he is now Santa. He's attained his ideal. And that means that now what he can do is someone who's been bullied his entire life can now do the bullying. He can now come. So as soon as those dudes show up from American Pie Part fucking 8, straight to DVD release, who showed up at the end of Godfather 3, crossing over with this film. As soon as they show up and start, he ain't having it no more, bruh. Do you get what I'm saying? And he goes for it. But it's so weird because he does great things with very earnest and real intention, but does very heinous things because of the power that he feels he is representing, if that makes sense. So let's bring this back. We can be exactly who we want to be, but always do it with humility. Just because you are self-actualizing, because you are attaining the dream, does not mean that you are in some way or form or shape better than anybody else. And it still means you have to live by the rules. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm going off my rocker. I don't know.
Yeah. Sort of.
China doesn't need rules.
We don't need rules. All right, it's time to rate this film out of 5 possible you digs. You out there in the chat, let us know what you think about Christmas Evil. Brooks, start us off tonight, my man.
I give this movie a 4. It's a good movie. It's a bit grim, but it is kind of it's an interesting movie. I can see myself rewatching this sometime, like for Christmas, just for funsies. It's a movie that it's a movie that makes you think a little bit. So it's good for that. And I was it's very misleading. The title Christmas Evil, because it does make it sound like it's just a kind of one of these other horror holiday movies. They're a little less serious, and it's more of a it's not so much that, it's more of a like kind of suspense movie. So I think it's good for what it is.
All right, so a 4 you digs from Brooks. What about you, Joe? What do you give this movie, Christmas Evil?
I feel like the fact that I got you to watch this, I've watched this multiple times. I understand people giving it a lower rating. I totally get it. I have to give this a 4.5. There's so much about it I really love. And, it's so low budget. It's so it's this like passion sort of project thing and all of that. If it was a higher budget movie and still had some of these issues, I don't think I could give it a 4.5. But with all of that stuff involved, that's where I'm going to land on it.
Absolutely. Very fair. Very fair. What about you, Jab the Great? What do you think?
All right. Well, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I may watch it one more time just to be sure that I liked it a little more than I did. I mean, it's a good film. It is. It's a psychological study of a man that just slowly loses his mind. So you know what? Nah. I was gonna give it a 3, but now I'm gonna give it a 3.69.
Nice.
It's got a little stank on it. I'll watch it again to be sure. It's not something I would necessarily just pop in and watch. I don't have that need, but at the same time, I can watch it again and be like, okay, I get it now. I get this motivation. Oh, I get why he flew off towards the moon, and he's going to the North Pole now. That's exactly how this ends. So now I want to see how New Year's Evil goes, because I'm very.
Just so you know, New Year's Evil is not the sequel to this one.
I thought it would be, but that's weird.
It's not.
Super weird. 3, 2, 1.
Do not expect that, brother, and do not expect Christmas Evil's level of excellence compared to New Year's Evil. So just be ready, is what I'm saying. Just be ready. Just be ready.
Oh, okay.
I think it's better than Terror Train, but I also like Terror Train. So
okay.
I like any holiday themed slasher, man. Come on.
Sounds fair. Fair enough. But yeah, 3.69.
All right, 3.69. All right, from me, I'm there with Joe. I'm giving it a 4.5. I fucking love this movie. If it didn't have some of those slight pacing issues in the second half, and if it maybe through a little bit more of its nuance, gave me more of an idea of what exactly happened to trigger Harry to go into the Santa obsession, right? Because I don't quite get how not believing in Santa Claus and thinking it's your dad and then seeing him going down on his mother triggered all of this, right? But I think maybe part of the point is that relationship with his brother And
Yeah.
Joe mentioned that earlier. If they were able to like cut down on some of those comedic bits, we don't need a 6-minute scene of him trying to realize he can't get through a chimney. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that was kind of fun, but that could have been like,
dead. BBK's dead.
you know, shit. That's exactly what he is, right? That's what's going. I guess he remembers his dad doing it, but here's the thing: the idea of the ending of the film we were talking about, is that fantasy? Is it real? Is what he saw real when he was a kid? You get what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, maybe
Mhm.
some of that's fantastic. Did he
He does
really see his
change.
dad climbing
Yeah.
down a chimney? Is this an actual origin story? Was that really fucking Santa Claus? And now he's become the new Santa Claus? Like, he's Tim Allen? At
And
the
my
end,
theory
like,
is
this is
that
a
like it was
prequel?
a Tim Allen situation where Santa Claus died, but there was nobody to kill him, so it just like his spirit just went into this guy at the last second.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think if some of that shit was ironed out just a little bit, tweaked just the tiniest bit, it's a perfect fucking movie. Like, it is one of the best Christmas horror, Christmas thrillers, whatever you want to call it. It's a great Christmas movie. I agree with John Waters to an extent. I don't think it's not my favorite. It's not Gremlins. That's my favorite Christmas movie,
Not
right?
Die Hard.
You know, but it is pretty damn good, and it's gonna really make me look at next week's movie a little bit differently, actually, because I thought Silent Night, Deadly Night, or I do think Silent Night, Deadly Night has a lot to say.
Yeah.
And I like the schlocky delivery, but this one is a little bit more classy in that. I don't know if that makes sense. 4.5 from me and Joe, a 4 from Brooks, a 3.69 from Jelani, for a PCP average of 4.1369. The only thing that would have really made it go over for all of us is if Santa was smart and got into a 69, right? Because that's where, and that may have been what is missing in this film. Anyway, next week, we've talked about it already. Christmas Horrorfest, Holiday Horrorfest continues. Silent Night, Deadly Night, starring one of my favorite people in the entire cosmos, Linnea Quigley. So very excited, I think, to talk about a Linnea Quigley movie for the first time on Pop Culture Philosophers for PCP Movie Night. So we haven't even done Return of the Living Dead. So, like, Nightmare Sisters is not too far away, but Holiday Horrorfest has already been going on for a while over at Dylan's Horror Show. He's fully leaping into Christmas with It's a Wonderful Knife. I like the title. I like the thumbnail. I'm hearing multiple things about this movie. I think it's newer. I'm not sure. But Holiday Horrorfest underway right now. Dylan's Horror Show Saturday night. It's a Wonderful Knife. And next week here on PCP Movie Night, Silent Night, Deadly Night. Brooks, thank you for being here. Any final thoughts?
7 more days to Garbage Day.
Garbage
that's
Days,
the other one.
Garbage Days Part 2. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not doing Part 2.
It doesn't matter, like, because technically the events, the character in the first one was in the second one was in the first one. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
half of the
We're doing
second
about
movie is
half.
the first movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's pretty the same
second
damn
one.
movie. The first, yeah.
By the way, the first time I watched Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, I watched it right after rewatching the first one. That's the wrong thing to do.
Yeah,
do not
you
do
gotta
that. Do not do that at
gotta
all.
wait.
It's really bad, really bad. All right, but Garbage Day is coming, Brooks. You're right. Eventually. Joe, thank you for being here. Any final thoughts? What you got coming up, bro?
Well, Sheena issue 4 should be out in the next couple of weeks. So it's the penultimate issue. Sheena's still queen of the jungle and fighting stuff, and there's animals and things happen. So check it out. And then you can still pre-order King Arthur and the Knights of Justice, my debut YA graphic novel from the Maverick imprint at Mag Cave, out March 12th. So you can, pre-order it on Maverick's site or Amazon or, whatever.
At your local comic shop, maybe?
Yes, you could probably do that too. Talk to them about it. I also booked my flight for Emerald City and had my place run credit. So, like, I'm all set there. I'll definitely, see whoever's at Emerald City. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I won't be there, but I'll be at MegaCon and I'll be in HeroesCon for sure next year. So everybody start making your plans. Let's all meet up. Let's hang out, and I'll share some hair tips with you because I have award-winning hair. Joe, thank you so much, though. I really appreciate you bringing this movie to my attention like 2 or 3 years ago. It's one of my favorite things about you is this movie. So thank you so much. What about you, Delaney? Thank you for being here. Final thoughts.
Yeah, dude. Glad to be here. Joe was a great movie, man. So, yeah, by all means. And this thing keeps on rolling, man. So we've got Go Figure reviews. Brooks and I do this channel. And this week we did X-Men 97, the entire figure wave, Wolverine, Bishop, Storm, Rogue, Magneto, and Gambit. We do each big figure. We give our review of those, honest. That's what we do here at the #1 toy channel on YouTube.
Award-winning.
It's award-winning. Yeah, we do those awards too. Yeah, we'll take the award too for that. We should put award-winning Go Figure reviews in the thing. I'll talk.
That would be misleading. Y'all are award-winning. I don't know about the channel yet, but just wait.
We're getting there. We got
Go Figures featuring living legends.
Yep.
And award winners.
I like that. Yeah.
We have 310 subscribers. We just got to 10,000 views on one of our videos, so I'm very excited for that. That was the Mutant Mayhem Turtle Band. So thank you. Thanks. Oh, that's so sweet. I'm gonna burn it. Can I burn it on camera? Thanks, Billy. Appreciate you. But yeah, I'm so happy that we're getting views, we're getting all that stuff going on. So of course, watch our channel, so sub if you can. We really appreciate it. All that fun stuff, and great movie night.
Hell yeah. Great movie, right? Thank you all so much for joining us tonight to watch this little unknown movie called Christmas Evil that we need to now make a conscious effort, a concerted effort, a very much needed effort to shine this movie out to the populace this holiday season. Make sure everybody you know's watch this because it's on Tubi. They can watch it with weird ass Charmin commercials after you see some gnarly like axe into the head bits, and you
need to wipe up that blood. Charmin.
Exactly right. So definitely check out Christmas Evil. But next week, Silent Night, Deadly Night. Join Dylan for It's a Wonderful Knife on Saturday. Check out Go Figure reviews. Check out everything from Joe Corallo, including She Said Destroy, Dahlia in the Dark. So many great works from my homie down there. Beckstar being my personal favorite, bro, to be honest with you. Fucking love that book. I want to see more of it. Mark, if you're watching, more Beckstar, please. All right, so thank you all so much for joining us. And my final full thought is Merry Christmas. Hold on. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Get it? It's the bit from the movie. When he's,
yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.